Most people talk about Jews in antiquity by quoting the Bible or some sort of like later historian. Today we're going to be doing something different. Today we're going to go directly into the theology. We're going to basically ask the question, how far back can we actually trace Jews and Hebrews in Greek sources? What I'm doing right now is running keyword searches, things like Hebrew, Judean, Syrian, Hebrews in plural, Judeans in plural. And then we'll open up the passages and, well, first of all, we're going to try to find them. And if we can get a hit, we're going to translate them and see what the authors themselves said and meant when they used those labels. Because online you hear like these two extreme claims. One side will say something like, Jews suddenly appeared only very late, and the other side is usually something like, the other side just assumes that the biblical narrative is just created in a vacuum and is straight into history untouched. I personally don't care about either group, so I only care about what the Greek sources actually say. So the rule for this video is going to be something like, if it's not in the corpus, it doesn't count. Remember, and just keep this in mind, the theology is like a time machine. It's basically a time machine and lets you move backward through centuries of writing and to ask a simple question, which is, what should we expect to see if these people actually existed and interacted with the wider Mediterranean world, right? As a historian, that's what you should ask yourself. We should see, what do you expect to see? We should see names, we should see ethnic labels, we should see polemics, trade, laws, myths about them, complaints about them, praises of them, something, a suicide note, a song, because groups that matter historically leave linguistic footprints, and that's what we're doing with these texts and with this TLG right now. Is we're looking for linguistic footprints. That's why we need keywords, and that's why we're looking for it the way we are looking for it. We're looking for something before the 1st century AD, when these things were supposedly already, long established. So we want to see how long established they were and if they were in the wider Mediterranean. So focus on this, because this is exactly what we expect to see when the method is actually working. So this is a 3rd century. So once we start hitting 3rd century range corpus and similar literature, this is what immediately starts popping up. You have the ethnonym, which is the Hebrews. That's what I put in the TLG. It's used in these texts casually, repeatedly, and across genres from this point on. They're not inventing the category. They're not explaining it for beginners. They're just assuming that the audience already knows something about who the Hebrews are. In these particular texts that I'm showing right now, the Testament of the Patriarchs, we get Hebrew as an ethnic group. They're people from Canaan. They're slaves or merchants in Egyptian settings. They're already a religious community. They're the possessors of a distinct language, and they're associated with Laistis. We'll break these down later on through the video. This is a very long video. I'm going to try to cut through all the fluff and get to the meat. But anyways, this is exactly what you expect from real historical population that Greek writers had already been talking about for generations. But the point is, that the greater point is that this is what external corroboration looks like. Multiple independent Greek authors, whether it's Jewish, whether it's Christian theologians, whether it's apocalyptic texts, are all using the same ethnonym. So I wanted to flag something real quick now that we're on Israel, and I wanted to point out that Hebrew isn't the only label Greeks used. Like earlier writers often talked about people from this area as Syrians. That category goes back even farther. Not identical, but overlapping, and that's a whole video in itself. But you can start seeing the layers of this thing, how, you can start on one word and then, find a completely different word that's related, but then that goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. So when someone says, why don't you see Jews mentioned earlier? Shut up, Timmy! This is part of the answer, because the name changes. Sometimes you're looking for Judeans, sometimes you're looking for Hebrews, sometimes just Syrians in a regional sense. If you only search one word, you miss half the history. But like I said, I'm not going down that rabbit hole right now, but I just wanted to point out that you should notice the patterns. Greek ethnonyms shift depending on period, geography, and who the audience is. But anyway, going back to the sources, you can see how much payoff this method actually has, man. You can spend hours just going in one rabbit hole, coming out the other, and then oh, wait a minute, I could have done this or done that or done a proximity search, and you could lump words together. You could put one or two, sometimes even three, even though that's more rare. You know, two. If you could hit a two, that's magic. If you could hit two words together, like Jewish Greek. If you were able to find Jewish Greek, you know what I'm saying? That's gold mine. But I've already checked it out. It doesn't exist. But anyways, so as you can see, Hebrew, this particular word, we only found it in biblical sources, whether it's in the Bible or not. Only biblical sources. So what that means is that Greek-speaking Jews consistently use that ethnonym, and they do not by themselves demonstrate how pre-biblical Greek authors labeled these populations. So that distinction is crucial for something like dating terminology. For the sake of time, I'm going to go over these really fast, so if you want to just pause the video and read them. So the first one is geographic and the ethnic origin. The second source is, Hebrew speaking God. It sort of means like the national god of that people. But I think that's everybody sort of already knows that. The third one is Hebrews are people inhabiting a region from which people are kidnapped. That's the association with the lay states, which is like pirate people. Just think pirates, like land pirates, not necessarily like sea pirates. And the fourth one is basically like another ethnic group. And the final one is Egyptians versus Hebrew, so it's another textbook ethnic contrast. So as we can see this with these sources, like Hebrew is still strictly a ethnic religious label. And all these second and third century Greek Christian authors, they're still casually using Hebrew as a stable group name. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I mean, make up your own minds and let me know what you think. Yeah, to me, it just shows internal transmission of biblical identity inside the Greek, not exactly how early Christian historians categorized Levantine populations. Anyways, see you in the next one.